I was standing at the nursery window of the hospital, one hand on the glass and the other on the adoption paperwork, when my sister turned toward me with the baby on her chest. "We're keeping the baby, but not yours," she said, like a door slamming from the inside. The words pulled the floor out from under my ribs. I felt my mouth shape my husband's name, and then I swallowed it whole, because if I said it out loud, the glass might crack. I steadied the pen over the line where my name was supposed to go, and realized the ink had already dried. "What does that mean?" I asked. The baby made a small goat sound against her shirt. "Not mine, how? Not yours to take home," Lily said. She shifted her weight like she was bracing for a gust that only I could feel. "Evan and I talked. We're keeping him." "That isn't what we agreed," I said. My voice came out flatter than I felt. "We sat at Mom's table. We wrote dates on a napkin." "You wrote dates," she said. I was pregnant. I was scared. The social worker cleared her throat by the doorway. She had a clipboard and a soft, practiced smile. "We can pause this," she said. "No one has to sign anything today." Mark walked up with a paper cup of coffee and a face like he'd been squeezed through a keyhole. "What's going on?" "Nothing," Lily said quickly. "Everything," I said. I handed him the clipboard. His thumb left a wet crescent on the paper. "Lily," he said, "we talked about this. You said—" "I know what I said," she snapped, then dropped her voice. "I know." Evan hovered behind her, hands jammed into the sweatshirt he wore like armor. He didn't look at me, just at the baby, then at the floor, as if the tile had answers. I felt old and steady all at once, like a tree that decided wind was not an emergency. "We can make this simple," I said. "Let's do the DNA confirmation. It helps the paperwork. It helps everyone." Lily's head jerked up. "You don't trust me?" "I trust the truth," I said. "And truth on paper is the only thing that survives a family." The social worker nodded like I'd said a password. "It's optional but common for kinship placements," she murmured. "We can do a cheek swab at the lab down the hall." "I'm not a placement," Lily said, hugging the baby tighter. "I'm his mother." "You can be both," I said. "But we agreed on kinship adoption, and hospitals like clean files. We'll do the swab." Mark took a breath like he'd been underwater. "We already have our samples on record," he said, eyes on the floor. "From the IVF, the lab can—" "I remember," Lily cut in. "You told me everything." She shifted her gaze toward the hallway, just past Mark. "Everything. What does that mean?" I asked. "It means we're tired," Evan said. His voice shook with a kind of righteousness I didn't buy. "This is a bad idea. We're taking him home." "Home where?" I asked. "Your apartment with the mold in the bathroom and a couch that folds into a regret?" He flinched. "That's temporary. So is newborn Grace," I said. "Let's give him a clean start. 1 swab, 10 seconds. My mother appeared as if summoned by the sound of my patience wearing thin. She smelled like the talc she dusted into her shoes on Sundays. "What is all this?" she asked, already disapproving. "People can hear you." "They should," I said. Mom turned to Lily and touched her elbow the way she used to guide us across parking lots. "Once you sign, that's that," she whispered. "Don't let anyone bully you." "I'm not bullying," I said. "I'm asking for what we agreed." "You were always the one with lists," Mom said. "Always telling people how things should be." "I learned it from you," I said. "You liked the daughter who cleaned up after the party, remember?" The baby let out a thin, complaining cry. Every adult froze like the sound was a verdict. The social worker stepped forward, gentle and efficient, and tilted the baby's face toward the light. "Open, sweetheart," she cooed, though she was talking to Lily. Just a soft rub inside the cheek. Lily's eyes flicked to Mark again. He stared at the coffee like it might tell him which way was north. "We're not making a scene," I said quietly. "We're making a record." Lily's jaw worked. "Fine," she said. "Do it." The nurse swabbed. The baby yawned wider, a pink cave of total innocence, then settled. A warm loaf on Lily's chest. It took 10 seconds. 10 seconds to put a fact in a bottle. Evan paced 3 steps and back. "What's the point?" he asked no one. "We all know whose baby this is." "We do?" I asked. The words moved through my mouth like a coin rolling across a table. "Mine," Lily said fiercely. "Mine. That part isn't in doubt," I said. "The rest is paperwork." Mark shifted. "We can get a rush," he murmured. "They can compare." "Stop," Lily said sharply. "Just stop talking." "Why?" I asked. "What is it you don't want us to hear?" "The truth can walk on its own legs." The social worker placed the labeled tube into a clear bag and sealed it with a click that sounded too final for such a small thing. "I'll run this down," she said. "It shouldn't be long." "Good," I said. My hands shook and then didn't. "We'll wait." Mom sighed like I'd dragged the cross through the hospital lobby. "People are staring," she said. "Let them," I said. "This family has survived worse than being seen." We moved to the window where the baby slept in rows like soft punctuation. Lily rocked side to side. Evan rubbed his forehead. Mark stood between us with the coffee cooling in his hands as if he didn't know where to set it down. "Why do you need a test?" Lily said finally, softer. "Why now?" "Because promises bend," I said. "And paper tears. But the swab can't be argued with in 3 weeks when everyone remembers different." She stared at the glass. "I shouldn't have come to you," she whispered. "It made everything complicated. It made things honest," I said. "That's the only complicated I know how to live with." The elevator dinged down the hall. A gurney rattled past. Somewhere, a monitor sang a bright, indifferent melody. My phone buzzed in my bag like a trapped bee. I didn't take it out. I pressed my palm to the leather and breathed, like I was counting to 10 for both of us. "Are you going to answer that?" Lily asked without looking at me. "It can wait," I said. Plenty of things waited. The word slid me backward, clean as a door on oiled hinges. I saw our quiet house in that too bright spring. The crib Mark assembled even after the clinic called and said we'd aged out of another chance. We kept it anyway. A white ribcage in a room that smelled like new paint and old prayers. "Maybe we sell it," Mark had said, standing in the doorway like a man outside his own life. "Or maybe we keep it and try something different." "Like what?" I asked, pretending I couldn't hear the ache in his voice. "Like asking for help," he said. "Like asking family." He wasn't wrong. The doctors had run out of words for what my body didn't do. I was 58 with a calendar that suddenly had long, empty Sundays. Hope didn't knock anymore. It sent coupons. Lily showed up at Mom's with a plastic bag of prenatal vitamins and a sweater she didn't button. She put her hands on the table like she was surrendering. "I messed up," she said. "I can't afford to be pregnant. I can't afford not to be." Mom stirred her tea as if it had something in it that could fix us. "Families work things out," she said. "We don't need courts. Courts keep things from being wars," I said, but I softened it with a smile. "We can talk." Evan sat on the far edge of the bench seat, eyes on the salt shaker. He nodded at the right places like a man agreeing with a radio. "Whatever Lily wants," he said. His jaw moved like he was chewing on a nail. Mark reached for my hand under the table and squeezed twice, our old signal for bravery. "Kinship adoption," he said carefully, like he was trying out a word in a second language. "We do this inside the family. No one gets erased. The baby grows up knowing every name. We'll help with everything," I added. "Doctors, rent, the car. No one drowns." Mom dabbed the table where no tea had spilled. "We'll keep it quiet," she said, which was the same thing she had said about every emergency in our family. Quiet made her feel like a good mother. "No lawyers," Mark said, not unkindly. "Family doesn't need contracts." I wanted paper. I really did. But I wanted the crib filled more. I wanted something to hand to the room in my house that made me feel like I had failed 1,000 private ways. "We can write it down," I said finally, pulling a pen from my purse. "Just a plan. Dates. Who does what? We'll make a calendar." Lily watched the pen move like it was making smoke. "Okay," she breathed. "Okay." Evan nodded again, eyes sliding off mine. "Okay." We wrote on a napkin the way people do when they think the table loves them. Due date. Prenatal appointments. The day we'd go to the hospital and tell every nurse the same simple story. The baby will go home with me and Mark, and Lily will be Auntie Lily who visits with cookies and the kind of love that isn't afraid to be called what it is. We hugged in the doorway. Mom said, "We keep this inside the house," and kissed my cheek like a warning she called love. The buzzing in my bag finally stopped. The hospital light was the color of dishwater. A nurse wheeled a bassinet past and said, "He's perfect," like she had invented him. I tried to stay in the present. I really did. But even the present was a loop. In the admitting room that morning, the social worker with kind eyes and shoes that didn't squeak had laid out the forms. "This is mostly boilerplate," she said. "Kinship placements are straightforward." I had looked at Lily then. She was pale and damp and beautiful with the baby tucked under her chin. She didn't smile. She pressed her mouth flat like a stapled envelope. "I'll sign," I told the social worker. "We talked about this as a family." "Good," the woman said. We'll collect signatures from everyone and make sure the discharge reflects the agreed plan. She slid the pen toward Lily first. Lily moved her arms just enough to keep the baby against her and away from the table. I'm not ready to sign, she said. Evan's hand flexed over his knee. We can take him home today, he said, not looking at anyone, like he was practicing being firm with air. Mark coughed into his fist. It's okay to be nervous, he told Lily. We can take this one step at a time. The room stuttered. I heard the vending machine in the hall drop a soda into the bin, a tinny thunk that felt louder than any of us. Is there a problem? The social worker asked gently. No, Lily said. Yes, I said, because I'd learned that saying yes to a problem sometimes made it smaller. We all want this done right. We want clean lines. The hospital doesn't require counsel, the woman offered. But if you want to speak to one, we can. We have a plan, Mom said from the corner, her voice like a folded sheet. We're not dragging strangers into this. I smiled without showing my teeth. We can keep it simple, I said. Just one thing to make the paperwork smooth. Lily's shoulders rose. What thing? The cheek swab, I said. Routine confirmation given the kinship. It protects everyone. Mark nodded like he'd only just remembered it. They already have our samples from before, he said. It speeds everything up. The social worker's face brightened, grateful for a practical verb. That works, she said. I can walk it down myself. Mom grimaced like I'd told the room our rent. Is that really necessary? Necessary is the one thing I can still afford, I said, and my voice didn't shake. We're not guessing on this. Lily stared at me then, not at the baby, not at the stack of forms, but at me, like she was measuring the height of a fence she hadn't noticed until now. I told the social worker we'd do a quick DNA confirmation to smooth the paperwork, and Lily's eyes flashed like I'd turned on the lights. She flinched like the light hurt and pulled the baby closer. You don't trust me, she said, not a question. I'm trusting the only thing that doesn't forget, I said. A lab report. Her gaze skipped past my shoulder toward the hall where Mark had been standing earlier holding that thin hospital coffee like it was a prop. Of course you'd want a lab report, she muttered. You have a filing cabinet for a heart. I have a filing cabinet because I've lived through this family, I said. And because the lab already has what it needs. They took our samples during IVF. They kept them. All they need is his swab to compare. If I'm the mother, it's there. If I'm not, we move forward as adoption. Either way, the paperwork knows what to call us. She stared at the baby's hair like it might rearrange itself if she wished hard enough. You think I'm lying? I think people change their minds, I said. And I think truth makes a path for the mind to change on without running anybody over. The social worker stepped closer, hands soft, voice softer. It's common with kinship cases, she said. It protects everyone. We can set a rush 24 hours. Less, I said. They flagged our file as urgent last time. They'll do it. Lily blinked. Last time? When I thought I might be pregnant, I said. And the room tilted for a second with the weight of a ghost. They rushed it then because I was already late. They can rush it now because a baby is in a room with 6 adults and 1 very tired nurse. Mom cleared her throat like the judge she'd appointed herself to be. She'd shown up because Mrs. Coyle down the block had seen our porch light on at 3 a.m. and called her, the neighborhood switchboard that never forgot a number. There's no need to drag this all out, Mom said, smoothing a non-existent wrinkle on her coat. Once the paper's signed, the baby's hers. She didn't look at me when she said hers. She looked at Lily. Mom, I said, stop coaching the witness. I'm protecting my daughter, she said quietly. Which one? I asked. Evan scraped his chair back an inch like he might stand up and be a solution. He didn't. We should go, he mumbled. We can do the swab later, if that's what you want. He said it to Lily, not me. That's not how chain of custody works, I said. It needs to be done now, here, with the kit, logged and witnessed. Lily shot me a look. You're talking like a cop. I'm talking like a woman who has been told to trust and bury it, I said. I'm done burying. The nurse came in with the kit on a little tray, eyes kind, movements brisk. Just a gentle rub inside his cheek, she said. 1, 2, 3. Wait, Lily said, and I felt the air go thin. Not to stop, I said. Just to breathe. I touched the baby's tiny shoulder with one finger. Hey, little one. He yawned then, a soft O that showed the whole world of his mouth, pink and perfect and unknowing. See, the nurse murmured. He's helping. Lily's voice cracked. It's humiliating. It's accounting, I said. We're giving him the right words for who we are. Mark hovered in the doorway again, cup empty now, hands clean in a way that made me suspicious. Do it, he said, eyes on the baby. Let's do it. She glanced at him like she was trying to read something he hadn't written. You don't get to tell me, she said. I'm not, he said. I'm asking. I stepped between them without moving. This is my ask, I said to Lily. Not his. Mom drifted to Lily's ear and whispered. If you sign, it's over. If you wait, it's still yours. Don't let her rush you. She said it in that silk voice she used when she taught us to keep the house's secrets. It's not rushing, I said, because I heard it anyway. It's timing. Babies don't wait. Courts don't wait. Truth shouldn't either. The social worker looked at Lily. You can hold him during the swab, she said. You don't have to let go. Lily's shoulders drooped, then squared. Fine, she said. Do it. The nurse lifted the swab, careful as if it were made of glass. Open, she said to the baby, who obliged with another sleepy O. The cotton tip slid along his cheek. 10 seconds. That was all. 10 seconds to change a decade. I watched, hands together like I was praying and didn't want God to notice. I told myself truth was the kindest thing in the room. It didn't feel kind. It felt like turning on a light and seeing the floor. Evan paced a tight rectangle that went nowhere. This is ridiculous, he muttered. Ridiculous is pretending the calendar is a contract, I said. This is clarity. The nurse twisted the swab into the vial and snapped the cap shut. All set, she said. Her voice had the cadence of breakfast radio, calm, familiar, relentless. She labeled the tube with a barcode and my last name and Lily's maiden name and the date that would now mean more than it should. Mom tried again. We can still handle this in the family, she said. It doesn't have to become a spectacle. It already is, I said, and my voice came out gentler than I felt. We just haven't sent out tickets. The social worker took the bag like it was ice and would melt if she hesitated. I'll hand carry it to the lab, she said. They'll mark it urgent. I'll go with you, I said. You can wait here, Lily said quickly. You've done enough. I've done enough waiting, I said. I'll walk it down. The nurse peeled back the diaper and did what nurses do. Efficient, unbothered, kind in the way that holds a room together without asking anyone to clap. The baby kicked once, then sighed, as if even he knew we were making a record he couldn't read yet. Can I hold him? I asked. No, Lily said, and I accepted it like a weather report. The nurse clipped the diaper shut, and I heard the email ping from my bag like a small bird hitting a window. I reached into the bag and slid my phone out. The screen lit my palm blue. Work? Lily asked, like she wanted it to be small. Lab, I said, and my voice surprised me. It might be the rush panel. I stepped into the hallway by the elevators where the vending machines glowed like two tired aquariums. The subject line was waiting there in bold. Preliminary results posted 412A. M. I tapped it open with a finger that didn't feel like mine. The page loaded in blocks. Case ID, collection site, chain of custody intact. Then the part that mattered blinked up with a little green bar like the truth needed decoration. Alleged father, mark 99.9% probability. Alleged mother, inconsistent with tested sample. My breath turned metallic, as if I'd licked a battery. The hallway tilted a few degrees. A janitor pushed a cart past, and one wheel complained like a small animal. You okay, ma'am? He asked without stopping. I will be, I said, and it was the first lie I told that morning. I put my palm against the cold wall and read it again in case the letters wanted to be different. They didn't. This was never a surrogate's delivery of my child. This was my sister's baby with my husband. A woman in scrubs laughed down the hall, and it sounded like someone dropping silverware. Every look between Lily and Mark backed up and played again in my head like it had been waiting for captions. Her eyes skipping over my shoulder to where he stood. His careful voice, his empty hands. The way she said, not yours, as if that was a kindness she'd decided on. The app scrolled by itself to the disclaimer about preliminary panels and full reports to follow. It didn't matter. I understood the shape. The glass wasn't going to crack if I spoke his name. It had already cracked without me. My phone buzzed again under my thumb and a new banner slid on top of the lab report like a party crasher. Family Finder new connections. It had balloons. Balloons. I almost laughed. I remembered, stupidly, standing in a pharmacy with Hannah after Thanksgiving, both of us buying those spit kits, because the shelf had a bright sticker, and she said it would be fun. Find out if we're Vikings, she'd joked. And I'd said, or grocery clerks. We mailed them with Christmas cards. I had toggled the auto-upload so the raw data would sync to the lab if we ever needed it for the IVF timeline. I'd forgotten to toggle it back. Another buzz. Another banner. Family Finder, new parent. Child match for Hannah. No, I said out loud. To the phone, to the vending machines, to the wheel that squeaked. The doors opened and a couple came out. The man carrying a car seat like it was full of helium. The woman's hair was damp, her smile asleep and happy. They didn't see me. I was a stain on the wall. Mark's name sat on the lab screen like a nailhead. I covered it with my thumb and still felt it. The urge to march back into the room and hold the phone under his chin hit me hard enough to make my shoulder twitch. "Hey," Mark said from behind me, and I turned so fast the screen flashed and dimmed. He had found me without the coffee now, which meant he'd had to throw something away, which meant he had already practiced letting go. "What is it?" he asked, trying for innocent and landing on empty. "The rush panel came in," I said. The words stuck to my teeth. "It's preliminary." "And?" His face arranged itself into concern like a bed you make in a hurry. "And the baby matches you," I said. "At 99.9. He stared at me like I'd given him weather. "What does that?" "It means what it means," I said, and my voice almost broke. Almost, and then it didn't. "It says I'm not the biological mother. It says you are the biological father." He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. His throat worked. He looked like a man trying to swallow a coin. "Say something," I said. "I made a mistake," he whispered. "A mistake is when you take the wrong exit," I said. "This is a route." The elevator dinged again. A nurse stepped out with a stack of blankets and the smell of clean cotton. She glanced at us and away, practiced at not collecting stories she didn't need. "I can explain," he said. And I almost smiled because that's what men think the world is. A thing that forgives if you tell it what happened. "You will," I said. "But not right now." Behind his shoulder, down the hall, Lily appeared in the doorway of the nursery. The baby pressed to her, Mom leaning like a shadow at her side. Lily's mouth was a straight line. She didn't step toward us. She didn't step back. She waited like a locked door you didn't try because you already knew. My phone buzzed in my hand again, insistent, cheerful. Family Finder knew close. Family match for Miles. My grandson. Hannah's son. The app wanted me to tap. It wanted to introduce us to the statistics of our lives. "Who is that?" Mark asked, eyes moving to the screen. "Connections," I said. "Congratulations, we're very connected." "I'm sorry," he said. And I heard the truth of that, tiny and late, like a porch light coming on after you're already in the car. "Go back to the room," I told him. "Sit on a chair and look at a wall. Don't touch anything." He didn't argue. He nodded and walked away like the floor told him where to put his feet. I looked at the doors again. They stared back. The janitor's wheel squeaked one more time down the corridor. A funny little cry that sounded like a warning had finally learned our language. The second app opened to balloons it didn't deserve, and a red stripe under them that said, "Paternity conflict detected." I scrolled with my thumb. Child, Miles. Alleged father, Joel inconsistent. Suggested relationship, close male relative of alleged father or mother's family. The little diagram bloomed lines and boxes like a bad family tree tattoo. A list of matching males popped up with confidence scores. At the top, Evan, my sister's husband. My eyes slid over his name once, then came back like a tide that wouldn't obey me. "Okay," I said to the empty hall. "Okay." I wanted to sit. There wasn't anywhere to sit that wasn't the floor, and the floor didn't want me. I leaned on the vending machine and felt it hum, a cheap heart under my shoulder. The app helpfully repeated itself. Possible biological father is a close male relative of Joel, or a close male relative within mother's family. Then it drew a dotted line I didn't ask for, from Evan's profile picture smiling at some tailgate to my grandson. By sunrise, I could feel 3 marriages folding like card tables. Mine, knocked sideways by Mark and Lily's soft conspiracy. Lily's, buckling under Evan's nod in this terrible line. Hannah's, splitting where the truth had been pushing for months. I hit call before I could think of a better idea. Hannah answered on the second ring with sleep in her voice. "Mom?" "Sit down," I said. She paused. "I am. What's wrong?" "Are you alone?" "Joel's snoring," she said. "Miles is starfished in the middle like a tiny king." "Why? You're scaring me." "Open Family Finder," I said. "Look at your notifications." "Now?" "Now." I heard bed sheets, the quiet slap of her feet to the floor, a door easing shut. Okay, she whispered. It's loading. Why are there balloons? They like to celebrate, I said. Even when they shouldn't. She sucked in a breath. Paternity conflict? It's a preliminary call, I said, because I had to put a railing on the cliff. But it's consistent. It says Joel isn't a match to Miles. Silence. Not the empty kind, but the heavy kind that sits down beside you. There's more, I said. And my voice felt foreign, like I'd borrowed it for bad news. Scroll to close matches. I see Evan's name, she said. Her whisper fell through the phone like a dropped glass. Mom, I see it too. Another silence, then small. It can't be right. Maybe it's wrong, I said. Because the human thing is to hand people a soft chair first, even if you're standing. We'll do a clinical test, chain of custody, no balloons. She breathed into the microphone until the phone warmed my cheek. The timing, she said. Joel was in Denver that month, remember? The conference with the bad hotel coffee and the flood in the lobby. I remember, I said. And Evan, he fixed the porch light for me when the fuses went, she said. The words coming like she found them on the floor and didn't know what to do with them. He brought over a step stool. He drank a beer on the stairs while it rained. Hannah, I'm not saying, she said quickly. I'm saying the timing is a mess. We'll get the truth, I said. From a lab, not a holiday app, but the shape of it, Hannah, it's a bad shape. She made a sound I'd heard from her once before, at 12, when she split her chin on the pool ladder and realized the blood was hers. What about you? She asked. Are you okay? No, I said. But I'm standing up. What did your test say? She asked. That the baby Lily had isn't my surrogate's, I said. It's hers. And Mark's. Oh, Mom. Her voice broke on the second word. I know. Are you alone? She asked. I'm in a hallway, I said. There's a vending machine pretending it's the moon. What do? We breathe, I said. And then we do paperwork and we do phones and we do doors and we do keys. We call a lawyer as soon as offices open. We get a clinical test for Miles. We put you and Miles somewhere steady. You don't talk to Evan. You don't talk to Joel until we have a plan. I love Joel, she said. And the truth of that hurt more than the rest because it had nothing wrong with it. You can love him and still protect yourself, I said. Those two things can sit at the same table. What if he already knows? She whispered. Then he can sit there too and hear it said out loud. I could see my own reflection in the elevator doors. A woman with a phone and a face she didn't recognize. Behind me, Lily shifted in the nursery doorway. Mom on her shoulder like a sermon. Mark a gray blur taking up a chair like it needed his weight to exist. Text me your location, I said. I'll send a car if I have to. Don't wake Joel yet. Don't wake Miles. Drink water. I hate that you know all the right orders, she said, a ghost of a laugh under it. I hate that we need them. What about Evan? She asked. Does Lily know? She will, I said. Everyone will. We're not scribbling this in the margins. Is this my fault? She asked, and I wanted to set fire to the word fault and hand her the ashes to keep warm. No, I said. Adults make choices. We're just cleaning them up. She sniffed. I can't breathe. Listen to me, I said, steady like a metronome. In for 4, out for 6. Again. I heard her do it. Once, twice, the old trick. The nursery lights buzzed. On the other side of the glass, the baby hiccuped, and I heard Hannah say, very quietly, Mom, I think I knew. I think I knew, she said again. Smaller this time. And I heard my own breath go in like I was stepping into cold water. I'm coming to you after this, I told her. Don't open the door for anyone but me. Okay. Drink water, I said, because mothers say stupid, useful things when the world burns. I hung up and walked back to the room with the lab result in my hand like a hot plate. The air felt heavier inside, as if the walls had been listening. Mark stood up when he saw my face. What did it say? It says you're the father, I said. It says I'm not the mother. Lily's chin lifted like a drawbridge. We were over, she said, quick, before anyone could aim. Me and Evan. We were over from the start. Evan laughed too loudly. That's convenient. It's true, she snapped. He turned on me. You're a vulture. You smell drama and you circle. I smell bleach, I said. And truth. Try breathing either one. Mark took a step toward me, hands out, as if this were a negotiation about light bulbs. It was a mistake, he said. A mistake is a wrong turn, I said. This was a route you mapped. I was drunk, he tried. I was sober, I said. Most of my life. Mom moved in, lowering her voice like a stage whisper. Don't drag this into the street, she hissed. This is family business. I learned to whisper from you, I said. I'm unlearning it. The social worker stood near the chair with the clipboard hugged to her chest. We can pause discharge, she offered. Give everyone time. Pause nothing, Evan said. We're taking our son home. Your son? Lily shot back. Now he's yours? He's mine, Mark said, and the room turned to look at him like he'd flipped a table. I set the phone down on the rolling tray and slid it toward the center. He's a baby, I said. He belongs to himself. We're the ones who don't know what to do with names. Evan pointed at me. You did this. I almost laughed. My mouth didn't put anyone in a bed. Enough, Mom said, hands fluttering like prayer flags. We will handle this. We will be decent. Decent left when you told her to keep secrets, I said. The door banged open, and Joel filled it, hair wild, eyes raw. He saw me and pointed like a defendant at a prosecutor. What is this? What did you send my wife? Hannah, I said. Show him. She was behind him, white-faced, clutching her phone. She walked around Joel like she was dodging a wave and held the screen up to him. It's the app, she said. It says, I can read, he barked, then swallowed the bark, ashamed. His eyes landed on Evan's name. His jaw came forward, then trembled. You, he said. Evan folded his arms. Those stupid kits are always wrong. They're wrong when they don't say what you want, I said. They're right enough to ask better questions. Joel's gaze skittered to me like a fly that couldn't land. You brought this into my house, he said, and it stung because he wasn't entirely wrong. I brought light, I said. You're allowed to hate it. He took a step toward Evan. Security appeared in the doorway like they'd been listening with their faces pressed to the wood. Sir, one of them said, palms out. Let's keep it calm. Calm? Joel said. My son is still your son, Hannah said, and her voice was steady in a way that made me proud and sick at the same time. He's still the same kid who lets you cut his pancakes. Joel's mouth shook. He looked at her like someone had passed him a life vest and told him to pick one arm. Did you? He couldn't say the rest. Hannah shook her head. I don't know what I did, she said. I know what it says. The nurse slid in behind security with a stack of blankets and the kind of authority only soft people have. Do we want the blinds closed? She asked me, like I was still the one who made weather. No, I said. Leave them open. Mom clucked her tongue. People will see. Good, I said. Let them learn our names correctly. Lily looked at Mark, then at Evan, then at the baby. I'm the mother, she said, as if saying it kept her anchored. No one's arguing that, I said. Evan was breathing hard now. You're all insane. Then be the only sane one, I said. Start with the truth. He turned his back as if that made him invisible. I'm not talking about this here. You will, Joel said, and took another step. Security moved with him, a quiet tide. Sir, the taller guard said to Joel, we can ask you to wait in the hall if... We're not leaving, Hannah said, and wedged herself between the men like something much stronger than she was. No one's leaving until we know where the floor is. Mark sank into the vinyl chair and covered his face. I'm sorry, he said through his hands. I am. What did you tell her? I asked him. What did you tell Lily to make this seem like an answer? That we were over, he said, trying to borrow Lily's line. Which we weren't, I said. We were tired. Tired isn't over. Tired is a night. Over is a map. Lily's mouth twitched. I didn't steal your husband, she said, but there was no heat in it, only a kind of grief. No, I said. He handed himself to you, and you didn't hand him back. Mom closed her eyes like prayer might turn us into different people if she held it long enough. Please, she whispered. We can't be this loud. We've been loud, the nurse said, almost cheerful. You're just noticing. The social worker cleared her throat. Here's what I can do, she said. We put a temporary hold on discharge. We call a supervisor. We set up a formal paternity order, and we get a counselor in here to help us not blow up the building. We'll need a lawyer, I said, meeting Hannah's eyes. All of us will. Joel looked at his shoes, then at Evan, then at the baby-shaped bundle in Lily's arms. I want to see Miles, he said to Hannah, and I heard the claim in it, honest and clean. You will, she said, and her shoulders dropped half an inch toward survival. The nurse adjusted a monitor with a soft beep. The blinds stayed open. The guard stayed at the door like a comma in a long, dangerous sentence. Mark took his hands away from his face and looked at me like he finally saw color. The baby began to cry, small and real, and every adult in the room shut up and stared at the smallest honest thing among us. It settled me more than it shook me. "I'm making calls," I said to no one and everyone. "We're done improvising." No one stopped me. The guard stepped aside. Mom put a hand over her mouth like the noise would stay in if she held it there. I walked into the hall and let the door sigh shut behind me. I scrolled to the number I never thought I'd need and dialed. The ring sounded polite, like it wanted to apologize for waking up a lawyer before sunrise. "Rosen," a calm voice said. "What's wrong?" "My marriage," I said. "And my daughter's." "All right," she said, like we were ordering parts for a fix. "Start with the immediate facts." "Hospital," I said. "Newborn in play, but not mine. Preliminary DNA shows my husband fathered my sister's baby. Separate app suggests my son-in-law is not my grandson's father, likely matches my brother-in-law." "Chain of custody?" she asked. "For the newborn, yes," I said. "Lab handled it. For my grandson, no. Consumer app flagged it. We'll need clinical." "Good," she said, not meaning good at all, meaning clear. "Here's your map. 1. You file for divorce. I'll send you an intake. We can claim adultery or irretrievable breakdown, but I prefer the clean line. 2. We request temporary orders, exclusive use of the house if you want it, spousal support if needed. 3. We draft a paternity petition for your daughter's child and get court-ordered testing with proper chain of custody. 4. If there's volatility, we seek emergency protective orders. 5. No one talks to anyone without counsel present if emotions escalate. Understood? "It sounds like building a bridge while the river rises," I said. "That's exactly what it is," she said. "But bridges hold." "What about the baby here?" I asked. "They were about to discharge to my sister. If paternity is Mark's, he has rights and obligations," she said. "But custody is a separate question. The hospital's discharge can be paused if there's a dispute. Do not sign anything. Document everything. If anyone threatens to leave with the child, call hospital security and me. My mother wants it quiet," I said. "She's worried about reputations." "She can knit a blanket," the lawyer said dryly. "You worry about safety and paper. I'll email forms within the hour. Text me your full name, birth date, county, and an address where you can safely receive documents." "Copy," I said. "And for my daughter?" "She needs a safe place and a plan," she said. "She doesn't confront either man until we have the petition filed, unless necessary for safety. Tell her to stop sharing accounts or locations if she was. Change locks if appropriate. I can get her an appointment with a family counselor who testifies well, should we need it." "Thank you," I said, and my throat caught on the second word like a snag on a sweater. "We'll get you through," she said. "Not kind, not unkind, just steady. Send me the lab email. I'll see you on the other side of the morning." I hung up and walked. The corridor emptied into dawn like a slow spill. The automatic doors opened on humid air and a parking deck that hummed with transformers and early birds. I stood there and let the warm wetness touch my face like a hand that didn't ask me to forgive it. I texted Hannah, lawyer engaged. "Stay put. Water. Door locked. Call me if Joel wakes. Do not discuss results without me." She replied, "Okay." Miles breathing. "I'm breathing. Love you." I texted Mark. "Come to the car. Alone." The 3 dots pulsed, stopped, pulsed again. Then, on my way. I sat in the driver's seat without starting the engine. The hospital print station down the hall had already given me what I needed. A crisp page with numbers that didn't care how anyone felt. I held it on my knee like a passport to a country I didn't want. In the rear view, I saw the sky lift a shade. Birds sounded busy and indifferent. A woman shuffled past, pushing a wheelchair without anyone in it, practicing the movement for later. Mark opened the passenger door and got in like he'd been invited to his own funeral. Face gray, hands empty, still wearing his wedding ring like he didn't know where it sat on the spectrum between jewelry and lie. "Thank you for coming alone," I said. He nodded. His eyes moved around the car like a trapped fly, landing on the dashboard, the glove box, my hands, never on my face. "I spoke to a lawyer," I said. "We're filing." He flinched. "Today?" "As soon as office hours pretend to start," I said. "We'll ask for temporary orders. You will not come to the house unless asked. You will not remove property. You will not touch my papers." "I'm not a thief," he said, wounded the way people get when only the smaller accusation registers. "You took a life and hid it in my family," I said. The word thief fits in corners you haven't looked at. He rubbed his ring with his thumb. I can explain, he tried again. Don't narrate the affair at me, I said. I don't need the color. I need the facts. He swallowed. I made a mistake. You keep returning to that word like it owes you money, I said. It won't pay you. He looked out at the deck. A man in scrubs smoked by the stairs and scrolled his phone, making a small break with his lungs. I didn't mean to hurt you, Mark said. Intent doesn't change the bruise, I said. He shut his eyes. Do you want me to move out today? Yes, I said. Keys on the hook. Leave the garage opener on the counter. I'll pack a bag for you to pick up later with someone else present. We'll coordinate through council. And the baby? He asked, voice breaking on the word in a way that made something inside me ache against my will. You will support him, I said. Legally. Financially. Custody will be determined by the court. You will not make promises to Lily without counsel. You will not sign things you don't understand, Lily said. I don't care what Lily said, I cut in. I care what the paper will say. He stared at his hands. They were good hands once. Fixing the crib, setting plates, holding my face when the clinic called. I hated that I remembered that, and I hated that the memory didn't go dark just because the present did. I don't want to lose everything, he whispered. You already traded the word everything for the word secret, I said. The receipt just printed. He finally looked at me. Do you hate me? I don't have time to, I said. I have errands. He nodded like I'd given him mercy. It wasn't. I took the printout from my knee and smoothed the edge with my thumb. He watched my hand as if it were dangerous. Here, I said. He didn't take it, so I set it in his palm. The paper made a soft sound against his skin. He looked down. His eyes flicked left to right, down, back up, as if the numbers might turn into different numbers if he read them fast enough. I handed him the printed results and watched his eyes try to outrun the numbers. He held the paper like it might cut him. We fought that night, he said, eyes still on the numbers. After the clinic called, you said you were tired of being a project. I said I was tired of being a cheerleader with bad pom-poms. He barked a laugh that died before it reached his mouth. I went out for gas. I didn't need gas. You picked up a lie, I said. I picked up a beer, he said. Then 3. Then I saw Lily at the store. She looked like you used to look when we were 20, angry and pretty and ready to drive without checking the map. We talked in the parking lot too long. I told myself it was just talking. Then I told myself it was just once. It got legs, I said. It got legs, he echoed. And it learned my house. He rubbed his face with both hands. I kept meaning to tell you. I kept waiting for a right moment like those exist. They don't, I said. There's just the first honest one. He looked at me, finally. We can fix it, he said, and I saw him reach for a future like it was a toolbox. We can raise him. The 3 of us. People do that now. We can... No, I said. I didn't raise my voice. I cut the rope. That future doesn't have a door I can walk through. He blinked as if no was a language he'd forgotten. We can... I'm not joining a triangle, I said. I'm not painting the nursery for your apology. I'm leaving the keys on the hook you installed next to the back door. And I'm taking your name off my mailbox with my own hands. He flinched. Please don't make this mean nothing. It means plenty, I said. It means the crib stays empty for me, and full for someone else. It means every word I said at the clinic was true, and every word you said to Lily was also true, and that makes us both liars. It means I'm not dying in this car to keep you comfortable. His ring clicked against the plastic of the center console as he turned it. I don't know how to be without you. You should have practiced, I said gently. You were rehearsing anyway. We sat in the soft hum of other people's mornings. Somewhere, a truck backed up and beeped like a metronome. He wiped his eyes with the heel of his hand the way boys do when they don't want anyone to notice the water. I'll move out, he said. You will, I said. I'll text you times. Your brother can come with you. You won't come alone. Can I at least carry the crib to the attic? He asked, a shred of tenderness twisting the knife. No, I said. I'll decide when that goes. Or it can stay right there and remind me what I survived. He nodded, crushed and small. I am sorry, he said, and it landed like a coin in a well. I listened for a splash that didn't come. I opened my door. The warm dawn slid in, heavy and kind. Back upstairs, I said. We have to walk through the room we broke. Together? He asked. Through the same doorway, yes, I said. Not the same life. We rode the elevator in a silence that was almost polite. The doors opened on the same machine buzz, the same waxed floor. In the room, Lily had found a voice like a magazine article. "He's latching better now," she told the social worker, chin tilted, shoulder squared, the baby tucked like a credential. Evan paced a groove by the window, checking his reflection in the glass like it might file a complaint against him. Joel sat in a chair with both hands on his head, elbows wide, the posture men take when there's a hurricane in their chest and they've decided to build a roof out of fingers. Mom looked from me to Mark and back like she was calculating how much reputation could be saved with a casserole. Hannah stood when she saw me. She smoothed the wrinkles from my sleeve the way I used to smooth her church dress in the foyer, tiny palm, simple care. "We're going to be okay, right?" she whispered, eyes searching my face for a map I didn't have. "We are," I said, and my mouth made the promise before my heart could catch up and complain. Mark took a half step toward Lily. I raised 2 fingers without looking at him, and he stopped like he'd hit glass. The social worker cleared her throat. "We've paused discharge," she said. "A supervisor is on her way." "Good," I said. "Counsel is on ours." Evan snorted. "Lawyers," he said, like the word could make us all less real. "Paper," I said. "The only thing in this room that doesn't forget." Joel lifted his head. He looked at Hannah, then at me. "I'm not leaving her," he said, and it sounded like a vow he was surprised to hear himself say out loud. "No one asked you to," I said. "We're building a bridge. You can stand on it or swim." He nodded once, jaw set. The guard at the door relaxed half an inch like the temperature had gone down. Lily shifted the baby so his face turned toward me. He had that newborn seriousness, like he'd shown up to take minutes. For a second one, clean, unrepeatable second, I wanted the alternate universe where all this mess was just a don't forget the diaper bag day. It passed. I let it. "May I?" I asked Lily, and the room held its breath. She hesitated, then shook her head. "Not yet," she said, and the not yet was a mercy and a knife. "All right," I said. "Then I'll do the thing I can." I crossed to Hannah, kissed her temple, and stepped past Mark without touching him. The baby hiccuped once like a tiny engine catching. I leaned in close enough to smell milk and new skin, and I kissed my grandson's hair. "We're going home," I said into that soft place, meaning a place we would have to build from the studs. We went home like we were sneaking out of a movie we didn't finish. I unlocked the door, and the house breathed that familiar, tired air, the kind that knows your footsteps by weight. "Shoes off," I told Hannah, "because the floor is where you remember to be gentle." She nodded and bent without waking Miles on her shoulder. His hand was open like he was still holding the hospital light. I didn't look at the crib. I went straight to the bedroom and pulled down the lawn leaf bags we use for fall. Mark's shirts were all in a line like good soldiers. I took them off the hangers 2 at a time and fed the bag until it rounded like a belly. Hannah leaned in the doorway. "Do you want help?" "No," I said. "But stay close." She stayed. I carried the first bag to the porch. Mrs. Coyle next door was watering plants that haven't needed watering in months. She looked at me, then looked at the petunias like they had asked for this. "Morning," she said. "Morning," I said, and set the bag down with a soft thud that said something had ended. I went back for the second, then the third. The neighbors pretended not to see while seeing everything. I felt their eyes like porch lights that forgot how to turn off. Hannah set Miles in his travel crib in the living room and texted with her thumb like she was stitching a seam. "I'm calling Kara," she said. "She can take him for a few hours, so we can make calls without him hearing the wrong tone." "Good," I said. "Make a list." She made a list. She always did when life put its hand on her shoulder. "Therapist after," she said. "Dr. Lynn has a morning slot sometimes." "Call now," I said. "If he can't see you, ask for someone who can. Tell them we're in a house with broken glass and a baby who needs quiet." She nodded, dialed, and used her good voice, the one that gets people to look for an extra chair. "Hi, it's Hannah. I need to get in today if there's any way." "Yes, urgent but safe." "Yes, my mother will come. Thank you." I emailed the lab report to Rosen and CC'd a new folder I named Paper Doesn't Forget. The reply dinged almost at once. "Filing today. Expect calendar notices. Hold door. Do not engage without witness." The lawyer filed. I told Hannah. "We're going to see a lot of dates." "How many?" she asked. "Enough to make a mouth," I said. "Sharp little teeth." She grimaced, then half smiled. The doorbell rang and Miles jolted, then settled. Kara came in with a car seat on her hip and her hair up like a woman who does useful things. "I'll keep him all morning," she said, already unbuckling. You text me if I need to bring him back for anything with signatures. Thank you, I said, and meant the weight of it. He likes blueberries. He hates loud commercials. I like blueberries. I hate loud commercials, she said, and Miles blinked at her like he approved. When they left, the house sounded bigger. Hannah looked around like the furniture had moved an inch while we weren't watching. Next, she said. Locks, I said. She called a locksmith and used the same good voice. Yes, today. Yes, new cylinders. Front, back, garage. No, my husband doesn't have to be present. Yes, we'll pay now. I opened the calendar on my phone. Emails arrived like hail. Case created. Petition filed. Temporary order hearing. Thursday. Paternity testing appointment request submitted. I wrote them all on the paper calendar too because I wanted to feel the ink get permanent. The phone rang again. Mom, I said before I heard her. Now isn't a good time. It's exactly the time, she said. You listen to me. You do not blow up the family name. We can fix this without parading it to the courthouse. The courthouse already knows our names, I said, and names are only as clean as what we do with them. Your father worked. My father worked himself to death to keep peace you were selling, I said, and the line went quiet except for breath. I'm not doing that. You think you're the only one hurt? She snapped, small and mean. What about me? People will talk. Let them, I said. Maybe they'll remember their own paperwork. Don't be cruel, she whispered. I'm being clear, I said. There's a difference. She started to say my name like a curse, then stopped. Fine, she said. Do what you want. The click felt like a door but wasn't. Rosen texted again. Judge granted immediate pause on newborn discharge pending conference. Notify hospital. Also, child support petition drafted. Mark liable to Lily. Ray, Hannah contest any paternal rights claims by Evan. Will argue best interest, safety. No contact until counsel present. I read it out loud. Child support for Lily from Mark, I said. Paternal rights for Evan with you, contested on safety grounds. No contact. We don't answer his calls. Hannah closed her eyes. He'll show up, she said. Then he'll meet a door, I said. And me. The locksmith's van turned into our driveway like a small ship docking. A man in clean boots stepped out with a case and a nod that said he'd seen houses like ours and left them better. Which doors? He asked. All of them, I said. And the garage. He looked past me at the lawn leaf bags on the porch. Big day, he said. Big enough, I said. He went to work like kindness with a tool belt. The drill whirred and bit. Metal filings dusted the doormat like gray confetti. Hannah stood next to me with her arms crossed hard under her ribs. Do you want me to take down his photos? She asked. Not yet, I said. Let the walls say goodbye on their own time. She nodded. We're going to be okay, she said, testing the sentence to see if it would hold. We are, I said again. And this time my heart kept up, if only by a step. The locksmith asked me to try the new key. It slid in clean. It turned. The bolt thunked like a period at the end of a sentence that had wandered for years. When the first hammer strike sounded from the locksmith's drill, it felt like nailing the first plank of a new floor. Weeks later, the new lock clicked under my hand like it belonged to me, and the house exhaled. The first light slid across the kitchen table and stopped at the chipped mug. I sat with it and listened to the quiet, the honest kind. Down the hall, the crib was still assembled but empty, a clean outline of a promise I no longer kept as a shrine. It was just furniture again. I could breathe in that room without bargaining. The papers came like weather. Envelopes, emails, certified green slips stuck to the door. Divorce pending. Case number stamped at the top like a birth date for an ending. Custody conferences calendared in blocks that looked like teeth. Paternity testing orders for Miles with chain of custody words that made my shoulders drop half an inch. Hannah's emergency order granted by a judge who didn't need us to cry to believe us. I put every page in a binder and wrote the date with a pen that didn't shake. My phone kept lighting up with Lily's name, alternating currents. I'm sorry. I can't do this alone. You took everything from me. Please, I'm scared. You owe me. I typed once and deleted it. Then I typed again. I will speak through counsel for everyone's safety. She replied with a flood of crying faces and a photo of the baby asleep with his mouth open like a small O, and I had to put my phone face down and stare at the table knot until my eyes stopped stinging. Mark sent 2 messages in the first week. I moved out. Thank you for packing the box. Then, I'll be at the hearing. I didn't answer the first. I wrote to the second. Your counsel may coordinate attendance. The old me would have added a soft line to cushion it. I let the sentence end hard. He asked to come get the drill he'd left in the garage. I texted him a time when a neighbor could stand in the driveway. The keys on the hook looked back at me with their dull little faces and said nothing. At night, when the house made its settling noises, and the calendar on the fridge glared, I wrote a letter on plain paper to the baby I would not raise. I dated it because he deserved a place to put this. Dear boy, I began, not mine but still kin. Here is what I know. The women in this family finally chose truth over hush. I told him about the day he hiccuped and made a room full of grown people shut their mouths. I told him the smallest person in the room taught the biggest lesson. I told him his mother loved him, even in the mess. And that love doesn't excuse harm, but it can fuel repair. I told him his father would be required to show up on paper and in person, and that required was not a dirty word. I signed only my first name. He could put the rest together when he was old enough to ask the right questions without apologizing. Hannah came by with Miles after therapy. She put a drawing on the fridge he'd made at Kara's. Circles and lines and one determined sun with too many rays. He's mad about yellow, she said, and smiled like a woman who kept a secret called survival. Joel starts counseling tomorrow. He wants to do the test and keep his mouth shut until we have the report. She searched my face. Is that the right order? It is, I said. We lead with paper and breath. We made dinner the way people do when they are practicing normal. Pasta, salad from a bag, garlic bread that burned at the edges and still got eaten. Miles planted noodles on his shirt with both hands and said, "Up," which he now used for everything that meant more. When they left, Hannah kissed my cheek. "We're okay," she said. "Say it with me." "We're okay," I said, and it was more true than it wasn't. After she drove off, I took the manila folder from the drawer and laid the printouts inside. The lab emails, the court dates, the orders with their careful verbs. I wrote, "Not yours" on the tab, then stared at it until the word pinched. I crossed out the T and left "no yours." It looked wrong until it looked right. No yours, no one else's. Ours. That was what we were building. A life that belonged to us again, divided where it had to be, joined where it mattered. No one pretending the floor was where the ceiling used to be. My mother called less. When she did, she sounded older. "People are talking," she said finally, and it wasn't a threat, just a weather report from a town that liked storms as long as they happened indoors. "Let them," I said. "Maybe they'll hear themselves." "I wanted you girls to be safe," she said, small. "You wanted quiet," I said. "Now you can want both." "I don't know how," she said. "We'll learn," I told her, and it felt like a promise I could keep. I stood, carried the folder to the hall closet, and slid it on the shelf above the vacuum. Paper next to something that cleans. It felt right. I walked into the nursery and touched the crib rail. The wood was smooth under my palm. A good piece. Honest in the way that holds weight or doesn't. I didn't cry. I didn't plan. I just stood there until the light moved off the wall and onto the carpet and then to my shoes. I made tea and drank it standing up. Somewhere a neighbor's dog barked at nothing, and for once I believed the nothing wasn't a warning. Lily texted again. "Please." I put the phone back down. Mercy without boundaries had got us here. Mercy with paper might get us out. The sun lifted. The house waited. I turned off the kitchen light, locked my own door from the inside, and stood a moment in the dark, listening to a house that finally sounded like it was telling me the truth.